Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Where was I?
Hello.
Hey Morris, how's it going?
Good.
Doing good. How was your weekend?
It was good.
Good. Glad to hear it. Just wanted to round back with you, hoping that I caught you at a good time so that we can kind of iron out the details of this if you were willing.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
I guess it's good as any. But anyway, I guess how do you want to do this?
Yeah. No, I just there's a couple things that seem to be kind of just floating in the air that I would like to talk with you about. That way, we're just on the same page, so that when the agreement does get put in place, again, that we're on the same page and we know that, what each of us are going to do and what our part will be in the process so that we can both kind of push it forward as opposed to, still kind of being in scrambles or confused about, what it is going to go on. So I did just want to kind of take a moment and go through the things that we've been talking about and just kind of get on the same page about it.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. So, obviously the big thing's the tenant, right? It seems
Yeah,
like,
it really is.
yeah,
That's really what I'm concerned about.
right. And, I'll be honest, this is what I've been thinking. I know that you kind of want to wait to serve them the notice, which I completely understand until at least until after the inspection period here. That makes complete sense to me. And I heard your concern the other day when we hopped on the phone about you not really wanting to like raise any concern with them during the inspection period. Uh, and
Right.
and I understand that too, but and then I'm trying to think about how we can go about it, that we can, still, peek our head in there and get, eyes on what we need to see during the inspection period without raising any concern with the tenant. But I'll be honest, I can't really think of any way that we would do, unless the tenant was willing to, step out for some time. But, to me, that's gonna raise some concern as well. Um, and I wanted to ask, is looping them in kind of informally something that you'd be willing to do just to give them kind of like a heads up about right, because this is how I see it, right? Let's say the 14-day inspection period happens on day, 10 or 11 or whenever I'm able to get the team in there to kind of take a look around and get a peek inside. The very next day, or shortly thereafter, you would be issuing them their 30-day notice anyways, right? So I think that it'd be beneficial to loop them in ahead of time. In all honesty, I would imagine that they would probably appreciate it a little bit more too. You giving them more than a 30-day heads up, reaching out and saying, "Hey, this isn't official yet. We're working on the agreement. The inspection period is gonna go until this date, and as long as everything checks out on Derek's end, he will be buying the place. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. At that time, we will likely be issuing you a 30-day notice." Um, that's kind of just the way that I'm brainstorming here and just kind of tossing out some ideas. Do you think that would be something you'd be up to doing?
Well, here's kind of way I would like to do it.
Sure.
I would rather. I know it's going to take an extra trip by somebody, but I would like for y'all to go look at the property on the outside.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. make sure you're very, very comfortable with it. Um, and I mean, you got pictures on the inside,
Right.
and I can assure you that nobody is going to. I mean, nothing has changed,
Right.
and frankly, what I was hoping is that we could then, at that point, move forward
Mm-hmm.
and get the contract going and get some kind of approval going.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realize you want to have one last look at it, but that would be kind of a ways down the process, And by then, they would know because I'll be probably already once I know that you're buying it with the assumption that nothing there hasn't been any major damage or anything like that. Obviously, but I would like to go look at the outside. From what I gathered from you the other day is that you have these, you have these like a drive-by, and I think that it doesn't have a fence.
Mm-hmm.
Anything, I think somebody could drive by there and actually get out and walk around the place, and probably tenants wouldn't know it.
Right.
It's got an open yard and all that, and then there's an alleyway that kind of goes, maybe we get out, or maybe you wouldn't even have to do that because there's an alleyway that kind of goes by the house, and you can see the back of the house, front of the house, side of the house. There's streets all around. But that's what I'd like to do first, and then just make sure, okay, yeah, we really are interested in this.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to then see some kind of assurance from some kind of financial institution or wherever you go get your money.
Mm-hmm.
So that you got money, you have the money, you're ready to go. Then I can go to the tenant because you're right. I mean, if I go to the tenant, y'all look at it, and it's like you expect, like the picture show,
Mm-hmm.
it is. We're pretty much on the road to, heading towards closing.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So, at that point, when everybody is happy, well then, then you're right. I mean, we would probably move forward with a notice on for them to vacate the property. So, but I don't want to move forward, and we go out there and y'all look at the house, from the street and say, oh, I don't know, this is what we thought it was.
Right. And yeah.
I'd like for at least y'all to see the property from the outside first,
Mm-hmm.
Make sure this is something you want to do before I alert the tenant that I'm even, thinking about it.
Yeah. Okay, and I hear that, and that's something that I can see to getting done. But yeah, I definitely hear where you're coming from, and just again, I know that me saying it may not be enough, but I do just want to reassure you that it's definitely something that we're interested in. We're very serious about it. But moving forward, yeah, why don't I? Because yeah, I think we're talking on the same page now about the tenant. Um, one, it's going to be a surprise to them regardless, right? If you guys haven't had the conversation already, so that's why I say like,
Well, like I kind of told him, I said, look, I mean, I have a lot of people that
right,
want to buy the house.
right,
Oh man, really? I said, because I'll be honest, I thought maybe he would come up and say, well, you know what? I'll be willing to buy the house.
right.
So I said, and I said, they're talking about like $200,000. I think that was probably more than he could afford.
Right.
And so, but I thought, well, if he could come up with a loan somehow, I'd gladly sell it to him because, God, he lived there like 10 or 11 years.
Right.
So, but he didn't pursue that. So I mean, and he said, oh, and I mean, I could see it kind of like, oh man, I hope I hope we don't have to move or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So it's not like he's going to be like, holy crap, you didn't tell me this.
Right, right,
So he is kind of being pre-warned that
right.
I told him, I said, man, it's just I think I'm really thinking about, and I told him why. I said I want to move all my property over to Houston where I have a manager. I said, hell, I'm getting 70 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be out here, coming by here and trimming trees and all those.
Right,
A
right.
lot of that is
Okay.
So anyway, so he's been kind of like heads up.
Okay, okay.
I'm thinking about doing something. If I got the right deal, I might do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Deal.
Yeah,
But
exactly. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, and that I think I mentioned this before, but something that we really do like doing, on the acquisition side of things is getting the tenant kind of involved, not so much in the conversation that me and you were having about the transaction itself, but just looping them in because I say this all the time, but by no means are we in the business of kicking anybody out on the street. So if there's anything that we can do to help the tenant transition smoothly, whether it be, connect them with some movers or connect them with some realtors to help them locate the new place that they'd be moving to, we want to be able to do that. And we want to be able to do it sooner rather than later. That way, you don't issue them the 30-day notice, weeks go by and now they have a week to get out and they haven't really taken the initiative to do any of those things. So we have found in the past by looping them in and kind of offering a helping hand, not only does it allow them to see that, hey, we're not here to just kick you out. In fact, we're here to help. They're a lot more willing to participate in the process. So that's why I propose what I propose, kind of just looping them in a little bit prior to issuing them that 30-day notice?
Yeah, well, and something like that might be, when I issue the 30-day notice, I would tell them that y'all might be contacting them.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And working with them, that probably would help.
Absolutely.
Help them.
Again, in the past, I've kind of
actually it could help you too.
right, right. I found in the past it just makes things a lot easier because they don't look at me. They kind of put a voice to the person that's buying the property, and when I call, I introduce myself and I let them know again that we're here to really offer a helping hand. They no longer look at me as the big bad investor that's just coming and kicking them out. Rather, somebody who's there to help through the process. So yeah, I think it'd be beneficial for everybody. And the way that again, I see it playing out is like you said, once we get all our ducks in a row, once we get the agreement in place, then, I think that would be an appropriate time to kind of give them a heads up. Hey, we're having that discussion with somebody. They want to come by and take a peek. That way, when we take a peek inside for the inspection, it's not a huge surprise to them. They've already kind of been put on an informal notice. And then once I give you the green light, hey, we went through with the inspection, everything checks out, then you could go to them formally with the notice. And then again, at that point, they're not caught so off guard. And I would be kind of there to lend a helping hand, like you mentioned.
Right.
Yeah. So
Well, yeah.
Go on. I'm sorry.
Because I would tell them, say, look, if this goes through, it's going to go through. But if it doesn't go through, I think I'm just going to keep it.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably, I will have to raise their rent because they've been there 11 years at the same rent. But I think they even understand that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd like if this all falls through, I'd like to keep them because they are really. I mean, he is totally. He does all the repairs and stuff like that. If the faucet leaks, he goes out and buys it.
Oh wow.
So he.
Yeah, that's great.
Great from that standpoint.
Right.
It doesn't meet my needs because I got a maintenance guy in Houston that I'm trying to get everything over there.
Yeah.
Do it.
So when things pop up, is the tenant primarily handling the maintenance on it, or are you having to go out there?
Well, yeah, it's pretty much. I mean, it could be like something serious, like a roof
Yeah,
replacement or
yeah,
something like that. But I mean, like the tenant is actually he's a real handy guy actually, and he
yeah,
knows how to do all this. So, if it needs a new faucet or something like that, he'll go buy it himself and put it in.
yeah.
You
Wow,
know,
wow.
I have never really done anything as far as small maintenance. I've got some tenants in Houston. I mean, they almost kind of like want you to come by and change a light bulb.
Yeah, yeah. No, exactly.
It's totally different.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Come plunge the toilet for me. It isn't flushing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh well, yeah, absolutely they will.
yeah, all
Yeah,
that.
that's the fun is plugged up. Oh, that happens all the time. Oh,
All
the
right.
flapper. Can you come by and change the flapper valve? I mean, they almost I thought maybe they've lived all their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
It's a simple little job, and you expect my people to drive all the way over do a 2-minute job,
Right.
but
And that makes sense.
a lot of them are women or divorced women, and they
Mm,
don't know how to do it either. So
and
they
yeah,
would know if I told them flapper valve is out, or all you gotta do is go down there and get a flapper valve. They wouldn't
right.
have a clue what it's about. So
Yeah, and you can't, yeah,
but
can't blame them, and yeah, that makes sense now that we're talking about it. It's a hassle to send your guy out there to do a little quick job, but the fact that he is there in town makes sense, and that's what it sounds like you're looking for is, hey, if I do have to go out there and change a light bulb, I'll send my guy. He's right down the street, as a bit opposed to,
well, I did have one time a long time ago. A woman called me and said the light is out in the ceiling fan, and I said, well, you know what? You're gonna have to get you a ladder. Go down and get the lighting one, and just like it, or take it out, get a
yeah.
ladder, and then go get just like it and put it in there. And so,
Did she respond
but
well?
that was that was that was her to the extreme, to the extreme one. But
Yeah.
they're generally not too bad, but sometimes like shake your head.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. 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 It
Well,
comes with.
the other day there was we had a guy. Well, I have a gas heater
Hmm.
that's located the down in the garage,
Mm.
and there's a switch on the wall, that switch, if you turn that switch off, the heater won't come on.
Oh,
So
okay, I gotcha.
I put it on, do not turn switch off, and so he comes, hey, the heater isn't one bit, the heater isn't working. So my guy drove all the way over there.
Just to read him the sign.
And he said, the switch is off. He said, flip the switch, and oh, okay.
Goodness,
And
how?
I think he told me this was the second time it happened.
Oh my
You
gosh.
said, look, if I come back one more time and
Yeah.
that switch is off, I'm going to be charging you $50
Yeah.
or whatever you think it's worth. I mean, sometimes the only way, because some of them get a little spoiled.
Yeah. Seriously, how much more clear can you be? The
I
the
mean,
the writing on the
when you
wall.
say driving across town in Houston, you might be talking
Right.
50 miles.
Right. Yeah. Sit on the beltway for
So
2 hours.
it's not like, and with old Joe Biden with the gas prices, that's not cheap.
Not at all. You're telling me, yeah. Seriously.
Anyway,
Well, something else that I wanted to ask actually, because I was just taking a peek, kind of organizing all the provisions that we've been talking about. I did notice the property's in a revocable trust. Is that correct?
yeah, it's my wife and I.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. So I just wanted to be sure that, and I'm seeing Diana is the name.
yeah, that's my
Okay,
wife.
okay, perfect. So I just want to make sure that I include all the parties if we, when we do move forward here, so that we get all the signatures that are necessary. And I wanted to see something.
Oh,
I think that may be it. Um,
okay.
oh, and I just kind of in my notes here, I have and I'm just kind of tossing this out there, a tentative kind of closing for the end of February. I think that if we do everything that we've been talking about, kind of in the manner that we've been talking about, that we shouldn't have an issue closing it out before then, before the end of February, and that should give not only us adequate time to go take a peek, us to get the agreement in place, our inspection period to toll, and the 30 days for the tenant to vacate. I think that we should be able to get it done and closed out before the end of February. That's my goal at least. So kind of just throwing that out there,
Yeah,
hoping that that works for you. Um, so
yeah. I
so
think that would work. Yeah.
okay, perfect. So what I'll do, I actually have, I know for a fact somebody out there that may be willing to go check it out. I'm hoping that within the next few days, if not by today. So why don't I today, Monday morning, I'll plan to give you a call maybe mid this week, either Wednesday or Thursday, just to allow that person enough time to go take a peek, check out the exterior, like you're saying, and you have my word, we won't be snooping or raising any cause for concern with the tenant. They'll keep their distance. I'll specifically let them know to do so, so no worries there. And once yeah, everything checks out, which I think it will. I really don't foresee it, it would have to be fairly bad, for us to be unattracted to it at this point. So once I hear back from them, we get some kind of pictures from the exterior. I'll give you a call and we can
Yeah.
kind of hash out the details then. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me. Yeah. And are you going to have like any kind of a in the contract? You going to have any kind of like earnest money or
Yeah.
how does that work?
Yeah. So I was going to ask actually, you're familiar with the TREC, right? The Trek 1 to 4?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. I figured you would probably, just the fact that you've been doing this for so long would want to see it on that. So I've kind of just went through the TREC, the Trek, and kind of laid out just again tentatively some stuff here. So give me 1 second, actually. So yeah, I was just taking a look, and yeah, we can definitely put up some earnest money. I know before you were requesting a higher amount. I did want to ask, since we were willing to bend a little bit on the purchase price and kind of all these other provisions, if you would be willing to give in a little bit on the amount of earnest money.
Yeah. Like what do you have in mind?
I was gonna propose maybe a month's rent. I know that the tenant is paying 9.95. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I was gonna propose that. You think that's fair enough?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I think.
Okay. All right. So I'll kind of mark that down here, 9.85. Gosh, now that you had mentioned that, something went right in my head and out very quickly. I'm sure it'll come up within the next few days, and I'll bring it up when we round back. But well, yeah, once I get the agreement all drafted and get it in front of you, we can kind of go through it together. Just in case you have any questions. I mean, and again, you being familiar with the Trek here, I mean, there's a lot of language, a lot of legal jargon in here, but none of it's
Oh, I know. Yeah.
okay. Okay, just so
Oh
you know,
yeah.
and I know I guess I'm just out of habit throw that out there because people who aren't familiar with it get fairly intimidated when they get it put in front of them. So a
Yeah.
majority of the things, you know, checking off here that it is being purchased as is, so that you're not required to make any repairs. You're not required to furnish like a seller's disclosure notice, anything like that, because we are purchasing it as is. And then a majority of the
Right.
things that we are discussing that want to get outlined is just under kind of the special provision section there. And then we again, when we figure everything out and we get pictures of the exterior and all that, we can kind of go through this together just to make sure that we're again on the same page moving forward, so that we both know kind of our part in it, to get it to the closing table.
Okay. Very good, man.
All right, sounds good. So, like I said, I'll be giving you a call probably Wednesday. I'm gonna say, is the morning or the afternoons work better for you?
Uh, yeah, I would say like anytime after 2 o'clock
Okay, okay,
probably work.
perfect. All right, I'll mark it down Wednesday after 2 p.m. and I'll talk to you then. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds
Have a
good,
good
man.
one.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye now.
Okay. Bye.
All right, that's that. So, I could have pushed just to get it locked up now, but I didn't want to seem too desperate, To be quite honest, that's just what it is. I am really taking a step back and slow playing it, building rapport, building the relationship. I don't want to chase the dog and have it run away from me. I don't want to seem overly desperate and yeah, anything like that. I mean, I'm the proudest moment of that phone call for me was getting him to lower his expectations for the earnest money. Um, I just I wish I would have asked for less because he just agreed to it. I thought that that was going to be a little bit more of a negotiation for him to be like, yeah, I'd like a little bit more, because he was at 2,000. He was at 1% of the purchase price, which is pretty typical for um, for on market properties, I do believe, and for yeah, I mean people who know what they're doing. This guy owns 30 properties. Just to put that into perspective, he owns 30 properties. A large majority of them being in Houston. This one being in Austin or close to Austin. So that's why we were kind of talking like we were talking with him talking about all the maintenance. He has a majority of his properties in Houston, and he has a trusted maintenance guy out in Houston that services all of his properties. And he is out in Austin, close to 70 years of age, and just can't be servicing this one in Austin. He can't be running back and forth to the property. Luckily, he said that this tenant in this place is handy enough where he doesn't have to do that very often, but he just doesn't want it to be like on the back of his mind. I don't think. Happy Monday, Lola. So I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I actually want to send anybody out or just kind of say that somebody went out. Because to be honest, it doesn't matter regardless. Like I said at the end, like as long as the roof's not caving in, as long as nothing crazy is going on with the property. Um, but what what would be beneficial with sending somebody out is getting interior. And if we were to do that, then I feel much stronger about getting offers submitted sight unseen by cash buyers because I already have pictures of the interior. I think that I have everything that I would need in terms of interior pictures. Obviously, I could use some other ones. Like, I don't think he has pictures. Well, he gave me a picture of the hot water heater, the laundry room, the flooring, the hallway, the kitchen, the bedrooms, the bathrooms. So, I mean, yeah, it's pretty much everything. I need somebody to go like the electrical panel on the outside, the breaker box, um, the AC unit that he claims to be about 5 years old. It's one of those things I see in the pictures that there are window units in the windows. So it makes me a little curious as to why they would have window units if there is central AC. Um, so like that central AC, like a picture of the roof, if possible from the exterior, just to kind of get a general, and then like I forget what they call it, like a just a front facing picture of the house that I can use kind of for my buyer, my cash buyers, my property profile that gets built out. So I do, and so what I'm saying is, if I were to send somebody out ahead of time, I would be able to get those pictures. That way, when we do go under contract, I can start marketing it to buyers right away, as opposed to what I've done in the past with my previous deals was get it under contract, send somebody out to go take pictures, which may not happen until like day day 2, 3, or 4 of the inspection period, and then not getting the pictures back until day 3, 4, or 5, and then I only have really like a little over a week to be able to find a cash buyer. Take the pictures that I have, build a property profile, and start blasting it out to cash buyers. In this case, if I were to get pictures taken ahead of time, then day one, I already have my property profile. I already have all the pictures. I have all the information that I need. And then I can just from day one start marketing it to buyers. Oh, something else that he wanted to see. Something else that I'm going to need to do is get proof of funds. Um, um, he's pretty. He knows what he's doing. Again, he has 30 properties, so why wouldn't he ask to see if I have proof of funds? He's not calling it proof of funds, but that's what he's asking for. Um, So what I'm actually going to do, this is going to sound crazy. Not crazy, but this is like something way above my pay grade right now, but I'm excited about it. What I think I'm going to do on this one is double close it. And it would be the first time that I've tried to do something like that, as opposed to just straight assigning it. So for those who are unfamiliar, what it would look like in a straight assignment is I would go under contract with the seller, right? That's our A to B transaction. I go under contract A to B. I'm A, the seller's B, right? Or rather, the seller's A and I'm B. Now we have an agreement at 200,000 is the verbal agreement here. I think that I can quite honestly get close to three for this. I'm not gonna lie to you, or maybe something close to it, like 275, or it's a smoking deal. ARV I think is around 400. It's a very small town, so it is going to require a specific buyer. But I think that people out in Austin may even be interested in it. It's not too far from Austin. Let me see how far it is. Um, but it's such a smoking deal that I may be able to attract buyers from a distance a little bit, as opposed to the people who are in this little market. Um, just to put it into perspective, it looks like you can probably drive end to end in like 10 minutes. I just want to quickly see how far away it is from Austin. It is a 45-minute drive. 45-minute drive from inner Austin, like downtown Austin. So it's not too far. Um, so yeah, again, in a straight assignment, seller's A, I'm B. We agree to 200,000. We sign a purchase and sale agreement. Now I go find a buyer who is C, and I assign him the interest in this purchase and sale agreement that I have with the seller A. And let's say we agree to 275. Now the transaction is A to B to C, all in one closing. So at closing, the buyer's lender or the buyer comes with cash is going to fund the deal, 275,000, 200 of which goes to the seller A, 75 of which goes to the buyer or the middleman, B being me, and then the buyer buys the property. That would be a straight assignment. And a double close, which is based on my understanding, you would want to do that when I guess one of two reasons, both of which apply to this situation. One, the seller is a little bit more savvy and they don't want, they may be a little bit more analytical. So in my past two deals, they've gotten the sellers have gotten the settlement statement at the time of closing or like the day before, hours before, whatever the case may be. And they can see, okay, I'm getting this much money. It's a HUD. I'm sure you've seen these if you're not new to the industry. If you are new to the industry, a HUD is just a settlement statement. So at the end, the very last thing before closing, it gives line item by line item where all of the dollars are going, who's getting paid off. The mortgage company is getting paid this to satisfy the outstanding mortgage balance. The county or the city or whoever is getting paid this much to satisfy the unpaid taxes. This much is getting paid in escrow fees, closing costs. This much is getting paid. Derek is getting this much as an assignment fee. The seller is getting this much when they walk. It just by line item, it tells them. So on a straight assignment, which is what my first two deals were, it actually shows on the seller's settlement statement that a different entity was closing on the property than the entity that I signed as on the initial purchase and sale agreement. So my LLC name is on the initial purchase and sale agreement, but when the seller gets the settlement statement, they're going to see a different LLC name or a different, individual's name besides mine. My first two deals, it didn't. I saw that and I was like, hopefully they don't say anything because I mean it doesn't matter one way or another because they're ready to get paid. So as long as somebody comes with the money, it doesn't really matter. But in this case, he's a savvy seller, and he may bring that up, like, "Who is this? I thought you were buying it." So that's one reason why you'd want to double close. And a double close, take 1% of the deal, and you would be able to close in 3 to 5 days. They take 1% of the deal, and you would be able to close in 3 to 5 days. Transactional funding, I'm imagining you're talking about. Um, or what are you referring to there, Lala? But a double close in that same situation would be me signing a purchase and sale agreement with the seller A as me B, and then me B going to the cash buyer C and signing as opposed to signing an assignment agreement so that they just kind of fill in for me. I actually sign another purchase and sale agreement, and I take the role kind of as the homeowner already, and it'll make sense as to why. So now I have a purchase and sale, me as the buyer, the seller as the seller on the first purchase and sale agreement, and then I have a second purchase and sale agreement with me as the seller and the cash buyer as the buyer. Then I bring all of that to the title company, uh, and then we hopefully are able to do a double close. And that would look like at the time of closing, I come with money, so that's why I need money, and that's why I think what I think Lala's talking about here. So there's companies out there that offer transactional funding, and it's for situations exactly like this where I may need money just for a minute. So I actually will take title to the property for 60 seconds, 2 minutes, with the money that I bring. So on the seller's settlement statement, it will show that I am actually buying the property because I'm coming with the money. To him, that's all that matters. Here it is, Derek. Here he is on the settlement statement. He's coming with the money. Boom. And then immediately afterwards, my title company then facilitates the second half of the transaction, which is the transaction between me and the cash buyer. Okay, here's this purchase and sale agreement where Derek is now the seller, the cash buyer is the buyer. Now we'll do that. So it's a double closing website that can be used in place of the title company. Drop the website. I didn't. Maybe it filtered it out. I don't see that you put a website in. So that's what's going on there, and that's why I feel okay about him requesting proof of funds because this is something that I was considering doing anyways. So by going to a lender and facilitating transactional funding, I will be able to hopefully get a proof of funds from them, which shows the seller, hey, look, yes, we are this lender. We've spoken with Derek. We've reviewed the property and the deal. It looks like a deal to us, and we plan on funding the deal. Here is proof that we have the money to fund it. So that's what he wants before we enter into an agreement. So that's something that I kind of gonna get on get on the horn about within the next few days here. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it. Right. And that's also why I was going to bring it up if he didn't agree to the lowering of earnest money, because this transactional funding isn't free. Um, it's they do charge origination fees or like points, percentage points. Um, so points are just percentage points. So if you ever hear somebody say points, if somebody's going to issue me a $200,000 loan and they're requesting upfront points to be paid, 1 point, $2,000, 2 points, $4,000, right? And it's different than percentage. It's different than your APR. It's different than your interest rates, right? Your interest is your interest. Your points is just what's due upfront. So, a hard money lender may give you $200,000 at 10% interest for however long the duration of the loan is, with 3 points, three upfront points. So you would have to come with $6,000 for them to give you the money, and then you're having to pay uh, the interest rates, however the loan is constructed. So in this case, that's what I want to do. I want to get on the phone with some lenders. I want to discuss transactional funding, and again, that's what that is called. Transactional funding um, is them literally saying, okay, yeah, this deal looks good. Okay, yeah, you have a buyer for it too, right? That's what they're gonna want to see is, um, okay, Derek has this deal. Yeah, it looks like a good deal, but does he have somebody else on the back end that's gonna participate in that second half of the double close, right? So that's what they would probably want to see is me to go to the lender and say, hey, look, this is the deal. Um, these are the numbers. Looks like a smoking deal. I'm under contract with the seller. I also have a contract with the buyer. I just need money to be able to facilitate the double close, to be able to buy it and then sell it. And they'll say, okay, yeah, everything looks good. You already have it under contract in both directions. That sounds good to me. Here's $200,000. Um, they'll put it, I believe, in my account for like literally 10 minutes before it's due, and then or maybe even just wire it straight to the title company, and then close that one, and then close the second half, and then once the second half closes, that lender gets all their money back. So they're out $200,000 for literally, I wouldn't say any longer than 30 minutes. Again, I've never done it myself, but this is to my understanding, based off my own self education. That's how I understand it. Is they give you the 200,000 and they get it back within 30 minutes, because all they're waiting for is title company to do their thing, to do the first half of the transaction, do the second half. Okay, once the buyer comes with all the money to fund the deal, they're going to get paid first, the transactional funder, the lender, and then I'm going to take my cut. So it would be, and that's what I was going to say. I was going to bring it up with the seller if he did start to give me a little pushback on the earnest money. I was going to say, we're already having to pay so many points on, and this is something that I heard. And this is like a common rebuttal to that objection of requesting high earnest money. I'm already having to pay like points on the money that I'm raising here. And if we were to put down a large sum of earnest money on every property that we were taking a look at, we wouldn't be able to keep the lights on. It's one thing to come with cash and to do all that, but another to be putting up thousands of dollars on each property that we're just taking a look at. Not saying that this isn't a property that we're not interested in and we're not serious about buying, but until we get some eyes on the property and get our inspection completed, we still have to approach it with a little bit of caution. And we would be definitely wouldn't be doing that if we were putting up thousands of dollars on every property in earnest money. So he was willing though. I think that the fact that it was just like 1 month's rent made sense to him, right? 995 is what he's charging in rent. So again, let me go through this. So I need to get on the phone with some lenders, discuss transactional funding and proof of funds. I'm hoping that um, a lender is willing to issue me proof of funds without me having all of those things in place already. Like, I hope that they aren't going to say, well, do you have it under contract? Do you have, because he wants to see it before we go under contract. So, and then I'm going to be, it's hesitant as well to be sharing the address and stuff. I know that's a thing too. You don't want it to be tossed around that address. So it's going to be hard. I'm going to see if my coach is willing to do this as well. Um, just offer proof of funds and transactional fund the deal as well. I don't, hopefully he'd be willing to do that. If not, I can get on the phone with some lenders, whatever. But so transactional funding, proof of funds. Two, I'm gonna see if somebody can go um, take pictures of the exterior. I do think that that's actually the play here because of what I was saying earlier. If we get pictures of the exterior, then I have everything that I need. I have pictures of the interior, pictures of the exterior, and yeah, then I can just automatically start marketing it to buyers. Take pics of exterior, and then um, three, lock it up. Hopefully, be able to provide proof of funds. Um, yeah, I think that would be it. Just get on the phone, get back on the phone with them, provide some proof of funds. Say, hey, yeah, look, we took a look at the outside. Everything checks out. Everything looks good. Obviously, and he seems open to it still, right? He wants to slow play. He wants to say, go look at the outside. It'll make me a lot more comfortable once you guys give me the green thumb or the green light. It's like, okay, yeah, it looks good. Um, I'm trying my best not to like lead him on. I'm not gonna let this one slip through and not find a buyer if I get it locked up, because the way I'm gonna rerun the numbers just to make sure. That's what I'm gonna do over the next few days. Rerun the numbers. Um, because he wants me to go take a look at it to make sure that it's a deal. I'm going to rerun the numbers to make sure it's a deal and probably send somebody out. But I'm going to send somebody out for different reasons than what he thinks I'm sending somebody out for. He thinks I'm going to send somebody out to do some checks and say, yeah, okay, it looks like a property that we're very interested in. I'm really only going to send somebody out to take pictures who may not have any knowledge on real estate whatsoever. Maybe they're just a good photographer, right? So that's why I want to rerun my numbers to make sure that it is, in fact, a deal that a buyer won't be able to pass up on, because I really don't think it would be. Then lenders, transactional funding, proof of funds, get the pictures, build the property profile. I'm not going to build a property profile until we get a contract locked up, but and then yeah, lock it up. So wish me luck on that one. That one's my hottest one so far, my most smoking deal if it does go under contract. So I'm pretty excited about that one. What I'm going to do is quickly post on um, my coaches group here and say, um, guys, trying to like be respectful and opposed to just like asking for money. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. Coach, you still offer um, transactional funding slash proof of funds? If so, what's the best email to send in opportunities? All right. Lala, if you're still in here, I'm curious which what website you're talking about. They take 1% of the deal, and you'll be able to close in 3 to 5 days. It's a double closing website that can be used in place of the title company. Interesting. I don't know if I would want to replace the title. Oh, and that's another thing, the title company. I don't know if because the title company that I work with are in Houston. I know that they're able to do mobile notaries, but I don't know if they'd be able to facilitate the whole transaction virtually. Let me know if anybody has experience with that. I'd imagine so. I just don't know if my particular title company would do that. So I want to reach out to them as well. Just shoot them a quick email and say, hey, I have an opportunity that's coming down the pipeline close to Austin. The seller is located in Austin, and the buyer will likely. Oh, and that's something else. I want to reach out to my old buyer to see if he buys in Austin. I have something in Austin. The seller's in Austin. The buyer will likely be in Austin as well. Is facilitating the transaction completely virtual, something that you guys would be able to do, because I want to bring you the business and continue working with you guys. But in this case, we would likely need a mobile notary for both the seller and the buyer. Um, and then I'm going to run into a similar issue that I ran into last time with the keys situation, right? Us needing a copy of the keys, which is cool. Whatever, we got it. The last time the title company sent the seller, just emailed them a overnight shipping label, The seller took the key, dropped it in a little bag or whatever, and sent it off. The label is prepaid, so that's literally all they had to do was just go bring it to the UPS or whatever and ship it off. And then what I'd imagine in this case would happen is they would send it to the title company. The title company would receive it, send it, fund the deal, get everybody paid, and then send it to the buyer, the keys. Um, but yeah, I want to reach out to my last buyer because he actually may buy in Austin. I don't know if he flips in Austin or anything like that, but I do know he buys all over Texas. So that'd be interesting to see if he's willing to do this one as well. Um, okay, Coach, do you still offer transactional funding proof funds? If so, what's the best email to send in opportunities? I think I got to eat with a big. All right, boom. Wish me luck on that one, you guys. I'm telling you, this is the life changing deal. But the whole time, this morning, I've really been able to comfortably speak with these people and get out of my nerves because um, I'm in the mode of this being a great opportunity, but not the only opportunity. That's really where I want to keep my head at. Um, I want to take note of this now. Connected with seller, discussed all provisions. Seller. Oh, and you know what I really liked? If you guys were here listening to that conversation, I really liked how it was. Okay, I'm gonna take a step back. Negotiation, the best negotiators, they do not. It's a common misconception that negotiators, like if you've seen the movie Inception, the common misconception is that negotiators like get their way, right? They give out all these fancy like objection responses, rebuttals, and they kind of finesse the conversation so that they end up getting what they want. When in fact, the best negotiators are actually pros at inception. Again, if you've seen the movie Inception, essentially what the concept is planting an idea into somebody else so sneakily and like skillfully that they actually think that they came up with the idea, right? It's not like, oh, like you can't convince me to do this. It's like, well, why don't we do this? The seller's saying this. Why don't we do this? When in reality, that's where I've been kind of guiding them the whole time. And that's what I was really happy about when it came to the tenant. The tenant has been the issue on this one the entire time. And in this conversation, I really, you know, prefaced it all with, look, I want to be on the same page with you, not only you, but I want to get your tenant involved. Let's start looping them into the conversation so that I hear what you're saying. You don't want to catch them, you don't want to just one day go and say, hey, you got 30 days to move out, right? So why don't we start having that conversation with him? Because I'm serious. I'm serious about buying. So why don't we start informally saying, hey, Derek's looking to buy it, just to let we don't have anything official in place yet, but did want to give you a heads up that once we get an agreement in place, he's gonna have a 14-day inspection period, and then once he uh once he checks everything out and everything's good to go after that 14 days, I will be issuing you a 30-day notice, right? And he was on board with that. And then he said, again, this is where I'm the you know point of what I'm saying here is, then he said, yeah, and then even you can reach out, right? He suggested that I reach out to the tenant, which is exactly what I want, right? I want their contact information. When I am, this is something that my coach, kind of stresses. You want to get, even in this what seems to be the simplest of deals, this one is definitely not going to be that, but you want to be able to control every aspect of the deal, the biggest being the tenant, right? So how do you do that? You get their contact information and you work with them. Like I was kind of proposing, look, I don't want to be this big bad investor that's just coming around and kicking everybody out of their house that they're renting. I want to be the investor that comes in, not only helps you out as the seller by buying your place for cash as is, all these benefits that we've already discussed, but I want to be there for the tenant to make sure that they are transitioning smoothly as well. Get them in contact with some realtors, get them in contact with some moving companies, handle a month of storage if that's what it's going to take, just to be able to lend them a helping hand too, so that they don't just get kicked out on the street, right? That's what I'm saying to the seller. That's what I'm willing to do. That's none of that's a lie. But my main priority would really be cash for keys. The ability to contact the tenant if it does come up and offer them cash for keys if it seems like it's going to be an issue to be able to get them out of the property. So that's why you always are going to want to get the contact information from the tenant. And I'm just really happy that it was his idea. Well, rather, it was my idea, but I played it in a way where he was the one that proposed it, right? And he kind of just slipped it in there. It wasn't like, well, why don't you do this? He was like, yeah, and then I'll tell the tenant that maybe you'll reach out. And I'm like, yeah, of course. So yeah, with seller discussed all provisions. Seller uh, requested Derek send somebody out to see exterior before moving forward with an agreement. Seller also is going to want to see proof of funds. Um, that's something else. If I'm going to give them a proof of funds, I want it to be legit. I know that there's all types of places where you can get these phony proof of funds letter, but I've told myself that if I'm going to provide a proof of funds, I'm going to use the person who offered me the proof of funds to actually fund the deal. I'm never if I'm ever going to show somebody a proof of funds, I've kind of already, again, I've never done this before, but I've kind of told myself that if I ever do that, that I'm actually going to use the money that I'm raising. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yellow. You said your appointment's at 11? You're, sure. Let me just close out here. Lala, look, you got this. Thank you. Appreciate that, Lala. Getting ready to hop off. I'm going to be back in a little bit. Appreciate all you guys who are in here. If you are in here and haven't already, do me a favor, hit the like, subscribe, notification bell. Wow, right as I hop off, more heads start popping in here. And we'll be back in a little bit, though. Again, if you haven't already, do me a favor, hit that like button. And check out the links in the description. Created that Discord group. Go ahead, hop in there. We have like 4 or 5 people in there already. It's going to be a kind of an area for us to connect when I'm not on stream, so that you can get your questions answered, and you can network with everybody in there as opposed to having to wait for me to go live on YouTube. So appreciate all you guys. I'll see you in a little bit.